Morning, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call this meeting of the Board of Carroll County License Commissioners to order. We always begin our meeting, as been traditionally for many years, with the pledge to the flag and observe a moment of silence for all those who have left before us, and especially at this time, all those people in Texas. Ms. Mulvaney.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You all may be seated.
Hello, how are you guys?
Morning. We'll begin our meeting with first-time applicants, or there is a appearance by the Upper Deck Sports Bar and Grill with expansion plans.
Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Name and address.
Before you,
My name is Leonardo Sorrow. Our address is 237 South Main Street, Mount Airy, Maryland, 21771.
what is it you want to do?
So basically what I'm trying to accomplish is our restaurant currently is the upper level of the building that we're in right now. The restaurant space below us is becoming available, and that has been presented to me. So what we would like to do is make that an extension of our existing business. At the bottom of our steps, on the inside of our building, there was an opening currently that went into this restaurant space. So what we would like to do is recreate that opening and make it an extension room based off of our restaurant now. And that would give us the availability not only to give us more seats, but also for private parties and sports teams, parties, and things of that nature that we would like to accomplish. Along with that, we would also give us a storefront presence on Main Street that we do not have as of right now.
The restaurant is talked about as Crying Johnny's.
Is what?
Crying Johnny's,
Crying Johnny's.
Yes.
and they're in Mount Airy.
Yeah.
They're in actually the old fire department, right?
Yes, the old firehouse.
Is there a way to access that restaurant without going outside from your restaurant?
There will be, yes, sir.
Will be.
Yes.
There was previously.
It was previously there, and then when they separated the businesses, they closed the door opening up. Just basically put a sheet of drywall there. So we just want to remove that drywall to allow that entrance.
How large is your existing area?
Right now, we have, it's a little over 5,000 square feet, 3 rooms. One is a booth-style family room. One room has 2 pool tables and some dartboards. And then we have our main dining room bar area.
What's your seating capacity?
There's
200.
200.
What will this add?
What will it add?
How much seating will this
It will
add?
add an extra 50 seats. Yes,
And the drawing you have, is that how it appears currently?
correct.
So you're just providing yourself access to that, and then you're going to take over the space as it sits?
Correct, yeah. And we will not be operating down there per se as we do upstairs with a full line of spirits, so forth and so on. We would be looking to kind of streamline, but we would still like to be able to sell and serve down there as accordingly. But the bar space is much smaller than what we have now, so it's a lot more simpler.
So in your diagram, in your, of the floor layout, it says new area. Is this downstairs and this upstairs?
Correct, sir, yes.
Okay.
Are there separate entrances from the exterior? Or can you go into one door and hit both places?
You can go in one door and hit both places, but both places do have their own entrance as well. Because the Crying Johnny's location would give us an entrance right on actual Main Street. We have an entrance on Main Street as well, but you have to go up a staircase to get to our unit. So this will allow us to have something down on the base of the street, which will also give us more visibility when we're doing Main Street functions and things of that nature. It gives us that availability. After 10 years, we'd like to, grow a little bit more if possible.
And your hours for the new, because I noticed you referenced parties and Christmas parties and private events. Will the lower portion be open the same time the upper portion is open, or would you close that down at times for events?
We would close that down for private events.
But it would be open whenever the top floor is open?
Correct, yes, sir.
And there's a bar down there? A small bar?
Very small bar, yes, sir.
Would you have a bartender down there?
Yes.
What
At
percentage?
our facility right now, everybody is over 21 and is considered a bartender, even though they still deliver drinks and operate as a waitress or waiter. So it's just kind of the way that we run our business. We make sure everybody is over 21 and
And what percentage of that staff is alcohol management trained or certified?
All of them.
How many is all?
20, I want to say 20
yeah.
servers.
We've conducted 6 compliance checks there, and they've passed every time.
I assume this is ADA compliant?
Correct, sir, yes.
The upstairs?
The upstairs, yes, and the downstairs from entering from the Main Street area,
Right.
yes. But upstairs, we do have a ramp that comes off the backside of our parking lot that makes it ADA compliant to get to the upper level.
So your parking lot kind of a slope behind it?
Correct, yes, sir.
Right, okay.
Big slope, not a kind of a slope.
Yeah,
How long ago did the other place close? Has that,
they are still there on a month-to-month basis at the
Okay.
moment, yes. So
they're
basically,
still operating, so the place is still functional, right?
correct, yes, ma'am,
Okay.
yeah. But they also own a food truck, that's their kind of main priority. So a lot of times their storefront is closed because they're out at schools doing things or what have you.
They did not renew their liquor license this
I
year.
was just going to ask if they had a liquor license.
They did not, they used to, but they did not renew
Okay,
it.
gotcha.
Because they are looking to move out of that location.
So they're both going to be open simultaneously?
Correct, yes. Essentially an extension of what we're already doing now.
And there's a small bar down there.
Correct.
So are you going to have somebody down there all the time?
Yes.
How much staff do you anticipate adding for that lower level? Because are you going to do the cooking down there too? So it's going to be kind of the same facility, but a different,
Yes and kind of no. I mean, we're going to utilize that kitchen when the demand is there. But if we don't have to utilize it, so i.e. lunch, maybe we won't open the kitchen, but for dinner we would. And that would allow us to kind of maneuver our employees around so that way we could staff appropriately. But
Does the health department have any role in this switchover from one kitchen to another up in that area?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think we're quite there yet.
yeah, I mean,
I would,
You were
sorry
our
to interrupt,
first
but I
stop.
would think you would have to have the kitchen final inspected by
absolutely.
the
Yes,
department
yes.
prior to approval.
Correct, yes.
Because that's a given
yes.
anywhere there's a
We have to go
restaurant.
through that
When we
process,
take
yes.
over.
Yeah. The suppression system, things of that nature will have to get confirmed, but on a verbal conversation, it seems like seems like it'd be a simultaneous kind of thing.
So nothing's under contract.
No, sir.
How about the
You're our first step.
And you'll be leasing that from somebody?
Correct, yes.
Same landlord you have now?
Correct, yes. The fund, our actual 10-year lease is up on our existing space now, so we're renewing that lease for another 5 years, so we want to take on this space as well, so that way they would both be for the next 5 years. And then we have the right for the 5 years after that, so it's a 10-year plan.
So here's a question I have. I don't know the answer. Maybe county attorney can help. Do we need to review the lease for this new property?
You can if you want to. I mean, he's an existing licensee, so where they are now, you already know about it.
Correct.
It's like any other place, they're just adding space, adding to the footprint. So
Yes.
it's the same landlord, the same tenant. I don't see.
Same everything. Yeah, essentially, I'm looking at it as just adding another dining room.
Will it be under one lease or two leases?
It will be under 2 leases.
That's my point. We might have to look at the second lease if it's going to be 2 leases because there are proscriptions on rent that I'm sure it's not going to apply in this case, but we still need to review it. There are prescriptions on rent being connected to alcohol sales, which you probably don't have now in your lease, right? Your lease is not, where you are now, is not based on volume of alcohol sales or anything like that.
No, it's not.
And we just have to, if there's going to be a new lease for the bottom property, maybe, I guess this could be up to the chairman, up to the board, or up to,
We need to see it. We need to see it. We need, if you have a separate lease, we need to see, if you have a separate lease, we need to see it. And if this is combined into your existing lease, we might want to review that also.
Well, it will not be combined with my existing lease. So, because unfortunately, I am setting myself up for damage control, so God forbid this doesn't work. I don't want it to affect what we have been doing for the last 10 years. So this will give us an option out per se without affecting our existing business.
the upper deck is a very good business in Mount Airy, right? It's
Yes, sir.
The last time I was there, it was pretty busy. It's
I
still-
mean, I'd like to think we do pretty well for ourselves. And, we're heavily involved in Little League sports. We actually do concessions for Little League football, so that way the parents don't have to do it, and that's another way that we kind of get ourselves out there. But we love having our foot out there in the community and trying to do the right things. My wife and I are going on 10 years of owning this business in February.
Commissioners, any other questions?
No.
Any objections
No,
based upon?
based upon the testimony, I vote yes.
I vote yes, pending, as we had discussed, the final inspection from the health department and the review of the lease.
Got it.
Any other questions, comments?
Actually,
With that, as you've heard, we'd like to see the lease before we give final approval, but if that's acceptable, I see no reason why you can't
Awesome.
proceed.
Well, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you, good luck.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. Sir.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from June 11th, meeting of this board, which you all should have received via email as well as a copy before you. Are there any corrections or additions?
No.
Okay, hearing none, they're approved. The upper deck we just reviewed. We have a request from Union Mills Homestead for multiple one-day licenses for outdoor events. Music on the Mill Race on July 13th, Music on the Mill Race on August 24th, and
Good luck with that.
Chris Kindle Market.
what?
Chris Kindle Market.
Chris Kindle Market on November 22nd. What is a Chris Kindle Market?
It's a market based
Craft
on
market?
what they do in Germany. Germany has all these Chris Kindle.
Kris Kringle stuff. Right, Christmas?
Yeah, it's all Christmas.
They've done this, they've done the two mill race, music on the mill race in the past.
And they did the.
When they did the Christmas.
What do they do for the race, mill race thing? Set a tent up down there or something?
Yes, they're off to the right of the big pavilion in that, back that way. Down the road.
Any objection?
No objections. Did you guys want to see this at all?
Is it a map in there?
At the very end, there's,
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
You look at it and I'll look at it. Westminster's coming up with new events every year.
Keith, have you looked at the map?
Yes, sir.
It says all alcohol sales in designated fenced area, and I'm trying to figure out where that is.
I was down.
Oh, this maybe? Is this a fenced area?
Yes, because that's the tannery, this is that old Dearborn Road, so past here.
Okay, so the only fence is here.
Right. But it's natural fences, tree line and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. All right. And this other one's the same, I think. No, that's not. It's over here now.
Yep.
And I guess, is that fenced?
Doesn't appear to be.
Party's inside.
Excuse me? Oh, the Crystal Market, Chris Kindle Market is inside, okay.
Inside the big pavilion.
Okay, thanks.
Little cold to be outside. Unless they're doing hot parties and.
Any objections?
yeah.
The Germans do them on the outside.
Hardy
They're
hardy folk.
Next is a request from Westminster Pride for a one-day liquor license for an outdoor event of an open-air festival on July 26th.
This is the one that we came to us last month, and they had made some changes to it. It's gonna be at the city park. They've had this license 5 years, 6 years. Each year it changes a different location, but it's,
So what was the change last time? It wasn't it wasn't.
because it was the Carroll Community Foundation,
Right. So now it's under a nonprofit.
and Jason's going to my class Thursday for alcohol awareness class.
Is this what they used to have on East Main Street?
Yes.
It used to be in front of Birdie's.
Yeah.
So the alcohol footprint is the entire city park.
Correct.
They're gonna have 5,000 plus people estimated and 6 zones where they're gonna try to block alcohol from leaving the park.
Right, I mean, most of the city park has a wall around it. It's pretty easy to set it off, and just, it's a little bit easier than Main Street, I would think.
Is this the first time that they want to do it at that location?
Yes.
And you've reviewed it, and you're satisfied that the...
They're gonna use this, they're gonna use the same footprint as Fall Fest.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they
Yeah.
same footprint?
who's providing the alcohol? The,
Jason's,
and he's
Pride
part of,
LLC. And I think they got some event, I do believe, Pipe Decide's gonna be there, but I have to double check on, I think there is a couple of breweries are coming.
and is he gonna be doing the serving?
He'll be there supervising.
So I'm sorry, I missed that. Who's providing the alcohol?
I think it should say in there, but I thought he had some breweries that are coming in to do the alcohol.
Yeah, there's a mention of that, then it says each vendor distributing alcohol, so there's several vendors distributing alcohol
Yes.
according to this. So are the vendors providing their own alcohol?
Yes.
And do we know who the vendors are? Is there any,
I need to check, I can get that information, I don't know if I thought it was in that, but I can find out.
might be,
I thought, I actually didn't review it once I got changed over Jason's name.
so if each vendor is serving the alcohol, I would kind of like to know what precautions are being taken that our vendors are, or their vendors are aware of
I mean,
the underage sales.
more
and
like,
things.
more than likely, I believe it's just breweries,
Okay.
but I will double check on that. It's gonna be licensed establishments or selling for this event.
So then that's my question, I guess, why does he have to get a liquor license? Aren't they all independent?
Because I believe I think they're also selling too, but also with the city of Westminster, I think they require a liquor license anytime alcohol is involved for their events.
Even if each vendor has their independent
Right.
license?
So it says here, all alcohol vendors will be carding at their booths and providing wristbands to those over 21. So each vendor is responsible for carding and wristbands, according to
Okay.
this. We, as the festival, are not selling alcohol, but will have volunteers preventing festival goers from leaving the fairgrounds with open containers. What about closed containers?
Then they're not, then, okay, I've reviewed that, we're wrong. I know I'm gonna believe it's Pipe Decide, and I'll get the list I'll have a list of the other vendors.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way that is written, each vendor has this responsibility.
Just like they do it now.
Like, who's they? The city?
Any vendor has a responsibility. If they're selling alcohol to card and to make sure it's, even though a doorman cards at Johansson's down under, it's still the responsibility of the bartender to make sure someone's not 21.
Okay, so let's say it's a new vendor who's serving hot dogs. And they're
They're not
they buy
alcohol.
some beer to sell, and they're operating under this liquor license.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
kinda
believe
what-
any, I'll double check, but I don't believe any that's happened. I think it's all
Yeah, that's
licensed.
kind of what my question was.
Yeah, let's just check, see who the vendors are, and make sure
Okay.
that they're people who are experienced with sale of alcoholic beverages. Or give us a list of vendors who are participating in that, in the sale, you know, that's.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna get a list of that. I don't have that in front of me. And I might have that email, but I'll double check.
Keith, they also say on here, red boxes indicate where volunteer staff and/or signs
Correct.
will be in place.
Usually, they're
Might as
usually
well
a
not
state,
put the signs up.
what was that, excuse me, sir?
They might as well not put a sign up. They should have volunteers.
Yeah, I agree with that. There should be somebody at every entrance and exit to make sure that alcohol doesn't, leave the premises.
Usually, the main entrance and the main exit have volunteers. Partial entrances, alleys, like on Main Street, sidewalks, that's when they have signage. 'Cause you can't
That's where
physically,
it's easy to go.
what?
That's where it's easy to leave.
I agree, and that's the responsibility of the police department, if they do leave, to write the citations from the carrying an open container. Yes, people can walk over a fence, step over a fence. It's keeping the honest people in. The non-honest people will sneak out. Just like any of these events we approve.
I don't recall approving an event at that park where there was an exit that wasn't monitored. And alcohol was being
Yes.
sold at the park.
We have in the past. The Fall Fest, every year, they have signage up. You could walk up a hill and walk over the fence. You can
Well, no,
climb over-
that's not what I'm talking about, Keith. That's, you're saying walk over a fence.
Walk-
People can escape. I'm talking about an exit, a designated exit. This is where you enter and leave.
Right, and I'm not saying, as a designated exit, they will have people there. At the fence line, they will have signage up.
Okay, I just thought that at the point that the chairman was making was that there were some designated exits that would have signage only.
No, every designated exit will have,
Read what it said.
Okay, so can we clear that up, just, just to ensure, because the submission is a little confusing on that point.
no, I mean, City Park, Main Street, it's too big to have a person at every place that someone can walk out.
Keith, they only have about 6 total places around here where they've got this red box.
Okay.
That's where what I read refers to.
And I will go to the event beforehand to make sure it's manned and staffed correctly.
You looking at what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I saw that. That's why I asked that there were only 6 spots for the whole,
That's what it is, 2,
Park.
4, 6.
yeah. And it says and/or, so there's possibility of no staff.
I mean,
just a sign.
if you can walk out through the main gate, next to the Armory, you can walk out through the tennis courts. There's a small exit behind the baseball diamond there's a walkout. There's a steps on both sides of the playground area, and there's steps behind the stage. There's also a hill that you can walk up and then step over the stone wall.
Well, I think our point is, all those exits that you just mentioned
Those 6, right, should have.
people,
And they-
not
okay.
signs. So they have and/or at what looks like what you described, those 6 exits.
Okay.
They should have, because a fence is a barrier.
Right, oh, I 100% agree with you. I mean, if someone really wants to get out with alcohol,
Right. But if they leave open a spot that's easily
right,
exitable, then that should have a staff there.
Any other questions or comments about it?
No.
If not, is there any objections?
No objections, as long as the matters that we discussed are addressed satisfactorily.
We in agreement?
In agreement.
Okay. We just got one quick one here. A request from Sierra on Main Restaurant, Liquid Library, Genie Bird Bakery for permission to participate in Toast to Italy on Main Street on July 12th. Good heavens.
3 of the same letter, just signed by different.
Toast of Italy.
hey, Joe, what time is that festival starting?
The Toast of Italy? Is that the one you're talking about?
The Pride Festival,
Oh, Pride.
okay. I'm putting it on my calendar, so I just want to know what time to get there beforehand.
It's out front.
This is a new event the city put on, and it's being handled just like all the strolls. It's a little bit smaller footprint. It's only from Longwell to John Street. At Longwell, they have a little kick out for Liquid Library.
I was just going to ask you that
they have a
little
little-
like walkway that they've done in the past.
Yes. And everybody's, same rules, same as all
And
the
it's an
others.
evening, it's a 5 to 9, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't know much about it. It's a brand-new event, so it's supposed to be a long table, long food table. But again, that's what I heard, and I haven't until and I will be at that event.
Have we approved anything prior to this for this event? Are these the first requests?
No, we've approved Sarah and Maine, Johansson's, collision course.
Okay.
This one is a little backwards because it got added after everybody submitted for the initial for the strolls.
Right, okay. Who's Andrew Schuster?
He owns Liquid
He owns Liquid Library.
Okay. I don't see it even mentioned in this request. Here it is. I own and operate Liquid Library. I'm requesting a Saturday. Okay. And Sarah. Okay.
Any objections?
No objections.
With that, our 10:30 case is here. With that, Mr. Dixon, would you please call case 6561, please?
We should, before it's. Okay.
Morning.
All right, case 6561, a violation hearing for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license issued to Christopher Green, Laura Brewer, and Daniel Fuller for the use of Brinker of Carroll County, Inc., trading as Chili's Bar and Grill, 1312 London Town Boulevard, Eldersburg, Maryland, 21784, violation hearing sale to a minor. In file this matter, we have the following documents. June 27th, 2025, notice of public hearing for this case. June 20th, 2025, notice of public hearing for this case. Notice of intention to defend, signed by Daniel Fuller, with the box checked, I am pleading culpable guilty with an explanation, June 18th, 2025. There's a June 9th, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Christopher Green, Laura Brewer, and Daniel Fuller. Acknowledge receipt of the letter dated May 5th, 2025, delivered by hand on May 6th, 2025. There's a May 5th, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Christopher Green, Laura Brewer, and Daniel Fuller. There is a alcohol compliance violation sheet signed by Inspector William Ledley and completed by Inspector Ledley dated May 2nd, 2025. And there's a notice of violation for selling alcohol to persons under 21 under the letterhead Haven N. Shoemaker Jr., State's Attorney, and it's signed by Jessica Spears. I would ask that the file be entered into evidence.
We'll accept that into evidence. This time, I would ask all those who intend to testify, please stand, raise your right hands, and be sworn in by Ms. Vance.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
You all may be seated. Inspector Ledford, I believe you were going to present this?
Yes, sir. William Ledley, Carroll County Commission Liquor Board. On May 2nd at approximately 4:23 p.m., I sent an underage volunteer into the Chili's for the purpose of purchasing an alcoholic beverage. The volunteer sat at the bar and ordered a Bud Light. The bartender served the underage volunteer a bottle of Bud Light. The volunteer texted me to say that she had been served. I entered the location and observed the volunteer seated at the bar with a Bud Light sitting in front of her. She identified the person that served her. The bartender who served her identified herself as Jessica Spears. Ms. Spears failed to ask the volunteer for identification and served her the beer. Ms. Spears advised that she was very busy at the bar at the time. She had alcohol awareness certification in Florida, where she moved from 3 months ago. Ms. Spears advised that she did not know it was a criminal offense to serve a minor. Thomas Hanson was the manager at the time and was advised of the incident. Ms. Spears advised that she would like to participate in a diversion program, and a volunteer was 19 years of age at the time of the incident. A follow-up compliance check was completed last night, and where they passed, and there have been 5 checks at the location, and this is the first non-compliance violation.
Thank you.
If I may submit these as evidence, the defense is already.
We'll accept them. Morning, Ms. Leanne. Would you like to proceed?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston, Muller, McLean, and Reed here on behalf of Chili's. And if it's okay with the Chair and the Commissioners, I would like to proceed by way of proffer and then open it up to the Commissioners if you have any questions.
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Thank you very much. Well, as we indicated, we admit to the violation. Unfortunately, Ms. Spears did not follow company policy to card anybody who appeared to be under the age of 30 and made this error. She was terminated, unfortunately, due to company policy. When you violate the alcohol policy and you serve a minor, it's immediate termination under Chili's policies. They held an immediate meeting with all of the staff, management, bartenders, waitstaff to advise them of what had happened, ensure to, and refresh all of their memories about company policy and carding policy and how dire important it was. Since that time, the managers have been doing spot checks of all the guests to make sure that the IDs have been checked properly. In addition to that, every single team member who didn't already have the state alcohol awareness training has now been certified, but for one. There's still one whose training is pending. On top of that, the general manager who's sitting behind me, Mr. Hanson, has applied to become a proctor for the ServSafe program so that he can administer the state-approved testing for any new hires upon hiring. In addition to that, they do have signage which has been posted throughout the restaurant reminding people of the carding policy and the born-on dates. As required by law, both Mr. Fuller and Mr. Mr. Green are alcohol awareness certified. Those certifications are on file with this board. And with that, we submit to the board for any questions that you might have.
Commissioners, questions?
Do you know if her alcohol management certification was current in Florida?
It was current in Florida, but it's not valid here. But she had gone through Brinker's very formal in-house awareness. It's called Responsible Alcohol Awareness Serving. That every employee does upon hiring. And I have a copy to turn in for you. It's an online testing module that gets tested after every part of the training, whether it's carding, whether it's knowing the law, whether it's serving intoxicated individuals. So if I may, I'd like to introduce this as an exhibit.
And she stated she wasn't aware that it was a criminal offense. Is that something, because that's not in every state or every area. So is there a subsequent training that is just for the location? Say in Carroll County, it's a criminal offense, you should let your employees know that.
That's actually the state of Maryland.
Okay, state of Maryland,
Yeah.
pardon me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you should, is there something that says that they're telling their employees that during training?
Are the employees being made aware that it is a criminal offense in Maryland? Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's in every state, that's 50 states, all 50
All
states.
50 states are the same, okay.
Criminal offense to serve a minor.
Well, I knew it was a criminal offense, but I don't know about the
Not everybody
diversion.
enforces it.
Yes, exactly. That's my point. Thank you, Keith.
I kind of missed the discussion about, is it Mr. Proctor? Is that the name of the?
No. Mr. Hanson is the general
Mr. Hanson is going
manager.
to be a proctor.
Going to become a proctor for the ServSafe alcohol program, which is a state-approved program. But as you're aware, the tests have to be done, given in person by a state-approved proctor. So he's filed his application with the ATCC to be approved. He just has not yet been
Okay.
approved. Am I correct? You're correct. Thank you very much.
And how will that be applied to, how would that be applied to Chili's?
So any new hires that get hired at the restaurant can take the ServSafe training program online, and then they can take the proctor test in front of him, and they are state certified. So it's in addition to the responsible alcohol awareness program that I just presented to you.
Okay, and you said service aid?
It's okay. It's ServSafe. It's SERV, capital SAFE.
They also do food safety also. They're mainly food safety.
Yeah,
That's
that's how it started, right?
That's an online course, but you can take the test if you're proctored.
That is correct.
So that's what you would intend to do in the future is have Mr. Hanson proctor your new employees or your employees who need to be certified?
That is correct.
You said he's the general manager?
That is correct.
How many establishments does he oversee?
Just the one. His boss is sitting back here next to him. Marty Cohen is the director of operations. So he oversees how many? 10.
So after the incident happened, you had an emergency meeting with the employees to reiterate the rules and regulations. Do you have any monthly, quarterly, weekly, do you have those kind of meetings that led up to this?
They do have regular staff meetings where carding is discussed.
What's your vertical ID policy?
We don't accept them.
Could you go to that microphone, state your full name and address for the record, please?
Thomas Hanson, 3304 Carroll Park Court, Sykesville, Maryland.
And you're the general manager,
Yes, sir. I'm the general manager of the Chili's in Aldersburg.
okay.
Do you have an employee handbook that they sign that says that they have been taught what they were taught and how they know the rules and regulations of alcohol management?
We don't have a physical copy. They take their training courses online. Moving forward, I'll be able to certify them myself for the Serve Safe program in addition to company policy, but right now it's the online course that they spoke of earlier.
So Exhibit 1,
Yes, sir.
Brinker,
Yes, sir.
is that the name of the course?
That's our parent company. They own Chili's.
Okay. So this is a proprietary training.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this looks like across state lines?
It is
Use
across
this-
straight lines, but if you look at the very couple, unfortunately, it's just screenshots of the slides, and there's more information when you're taking the course online. But at the very beginning, it talks about the laws of the specific state.
Okay. I was going to say, there's a section here on the dram shop, and
Doesn't apply in Maryland.
so all employees who are going to be serving alcohol are required to take this online test? Okay. I mean, online course. Is there a test afterwards?
There's actually a test after each section.
Yeah. And is it the testimony that Ms. Spears was advised that it's a crime for a server to serve alcohol to an underage person? Or is that just general policy, that you do that, you tell everybody that?
Yeah.
So-
I'm under the impression it's common knowledge. We go over it all the time, and it's also covered in training. You can't serve a minor, you have to check ID.
Well, no, I'm talking about criminal responsibility to the server. Like the licensee comes before us, and the licensee is one who's legally responsible.
Yes, sir.
There's also a
It's-
separate criminal
No,
responsibility.
it's covered specifically in the training program. Yes, sir.
During your trainings, do you let them know that there's the possibility here that they will be charged and that there's a diversion program to take? Or do you make them aware of that whole scenario?
Carroll
So
County.
like you say,
I
not
haven't
everybody...
previously made anybody
Yes,
aware of a
right.
diversion
Not everybody
program.
enforces
But
the
yes.
criminal aspect of it.
Yeah, no, I make everybody abundantly aware. The state police is just down the road. We get stings all the time. You have to, yeah.
But my point is that to let them know that there is a diversion program. In this county, there will be a diversion program, and they will be criminally charged. It's not like they could be. They will be unless they take the diversion program. I think that's what makes us different here is we actually hold them accountable. So do you let your employees know that?
Yes, I'll let them know that they're going to be held accountable, yes, 100%.
Yeah, so Carroll County has this program that's specific to Carroll County. So if someone serves underage in Carroll County, the server, their identity is given to the state's attorney. And the state's attorney and the server can make a arrangement to divert criminal charges. And that's what Commissioner Mulvaney is talking about. They will be referred to the state's attorney. So she's wondering, and I'm wondering, your employees in Carroll County, are they told that if they serve an underage person, they will be, their name will be given to the State Attorney's Office for the State Attorney's Office to decide whether to pursue criminal charges based on the diversion program? that's kind of a specific question. That's, I think might be outside of the training that I saw in your manual. It's something that we have. They will be identified to the State's Attorney's Office. And that's, I think, what the Commissioner is wondering, if that is something that the people down in Eldersburg are made aware of.
I do not believe that those specifics have been given to the staff. I believe that they know that they can be charged with a criminal offense. I don't think that they've been given the details of the diversion program, and I think that is something now that we can add immediately to our training program.
It's very simple. According to the law, you licensees are responsible. But in Carroll County, the server violates the law by serving a minor. That person's name is forwarded to the Carroll County State's Attorney, who has the authority to charge them criminally. It's different than other counties in Maryland, as well as other states.
The diversion program is for sure.
The diversion program
Yep.
is strictly a Carroll County program. Our philosophy as a board, yes, you licensees are responsible, but you can't be at every table and every bar stool checking on every employee whether they serve. And it's up to a educational program. Some of your competitors have every employee sign in every shift that they understand the laws of serving alcohol. We had one of your competitors here not too long ago. Their manual's about that thick. Questions?
No, just so for our inspectors, it looks like, I went back to wave one, and Chili's has a really very good record.
Yeah, I don't think there's any violations for,
Well,
I
2016.
mean, you
there
can,
was.
Tim can check the file. I don't think there's any violations since,
2016.
Yeah, it's been like 9 or 10 years, so.
Yep.
We generally take that into account in a favorable light.
Any other questions, comments? If not, testimony is hereby closed, and we will move into any final comments that you would like to make.
I have no final comments, other than I just appreciate your enforcing or reiterating the diversion program so that we can now include that in our training program. I would ask that you not suspend or revoke the license in light of our good track record and all the efforts that this company takes to make sure that the
we sent notices
safety
out
of the community
when
is
we first started,
protected.
So I don't know if you have that in, that's what the server gets.
Dr. Ledberg, do you have any
Yeah, I knew they were.
closing comments?
No, sir, they're very cooperative. The underage volunteer yesterday went in, the server got the manager immediately, and then the manager came out as well and checked the ID and just told him that they aren't allowed to serve vertical, and he was underage, so. It looks like they have taken steps. I've been there twice just to talk with them, and they've made the right steps. I think this was just one of those things that, you had a server, I don't even know how long she was employed there.
I think
But
about
she
3 months.
she said she'd just come from Florida 3 months ago, so. But
Had
they're always cooperative.
Had the server in the second check asked for the ID?
Yes, ma'am.
But she had to get a manager,
Yeah, I
even though it
think
was
she
a
just-
vertical,
yeah,
even though it was a
just-
vertical ID
yeah.
that you stated your policy is not to accept them. I guess she just wanted the manager to tell the girl,
I
we're not
think
going
with
to accept
the
that.
amount of pressure that they've put on the servers, they're doing their due
They're
diligence.
hypersensitive.
Yes, sir.
With that, testimony and evidence is now closed, and we will, as a commission, deliberate the merits of the case and hopefully come to a resolution. Commissioners?
We appreciate your track record. We appreciate the fact that you're willing to take new steps and input that the board gives you to add additional training to your staff. I think it's a little harder when it's a corporate entity, because on the local level, then there's the corporate entity. So it's, you know, I don't know how often he goes, but I'm sure managers are there all the time, but unfortunately it happened, and a minor was served, and had the initial bartender carded her, it wouldn't have happened. So that's kind of the way we always look at that.
Mr. Chairman, I endorse all the comments of Commissioner Mulvaney. I will add that I believe Chili's in Eldersburg is a well-run restaurant. I have an excellent record as far as violation checks. And unfortunately, Chili's is responsible for this violation civilly. As Commissioner Mulvaney mentioned, you will incorporate the information to your servers about the diversion program, which I think is a good step helping you to prevent this from happening again. I agree with counsel that this is not an appropriate case to suspend or revoke a license. So I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Before you make that motion, just so it's clear to the entire corporate structure and so forth, two particular laws in Carroll County is we require on violations that the licensees be in attendance. That's a rule in Carroll County. That's the reason that the licensees who are responsible for the license totally. And the second thing is, Ms. Leanne pointed out, is the diversion program in Carroll County is a local program that was established in some manner in which to hold the actual person or persons responsible for alcohol sales to minors, rather than putting all of the onus which is legally possible on the licensees. So just so there's no misunderstanding, because corporate operations and so forth throughout the eastern United States or throughout the United States, these are requirements that we have in Carroll County, which has proven to be very successful, particularly the diversion program, because that server, as has been pointed out, is subject to criminal prosecution by the various state's attorneys here in Carroll County. So with that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the case number 6561, I move that we find the licensee or licensees culpable for sale to an underage person and assess a fine of $300.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been properly made and seconded that we fine the licensee Christopher Green, Laura Brewer, and Daniel Fuller for the use of Brinker of Carroll County, Inc., trading as Chili's Bar and Grill, located at 1312 London Town Boulevard, Eldersburg, Maryland, 21784, culpable for a violation of sales to a minor. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The finding of this commission is that a fine of $300 is payable within 30 days from with you receipt of official notice by mail. Any questions? Hearing none, thank you very much and good luck. I echo the comments that was made by Mr. Barnhart as a frequent luncheon guest, so best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There's one inside of, there's one inside of, one inside. No, the first, that was the first one. I saw one inside of it.
Joe? Do we have any?
Yes,
other announcements or anything?
I'll email you his information.
Our next meeting will be August the 13th in this room at 10 o'clock.
5 years ago.
Unless Keith has something.
You want to take a 5-minute break? Okay, we're back in session. At this time, I would ask our attorney, Mr. Dixon, to please call case 6565.
All right, case 6565, a violation hearing for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license issued to Lynn A. Knight and John Chen for the use of Katana Sushi of Mount Airy LLC, trading as Katana Sushi, Mount Airy, 1311 South Main Street, number 102, Mount Airy, Maryland, 21771. Violation hearing, sale to a minor. In the file of this matter, we have the following documents. June 27th, 2025, notice of public hearing for this case. June 20th, 2025, notice of public hearing for this case. Acknowledge receipt of the letter dated May 23rd, 2025, delivered by hand on May 28th, 2025. There's a notice of intention to defend with the box checked. I am pleading culpable guilty with an explanation. May 29th, 2025. There's a May 23rd, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Lynn A. Knight and John Chen. There is a alcohol compliance violation sheet dated May 20th, 2025, and written and completed by Inspector William Ledley. There is a notice of violation for selling alcohol to persons under 21 under the letterhead Haven N. Shoemaker Jr., State's Attorney, and it's signed by
An attorney.
no, it's the clerk that sold the alcohol. The last name Zheng. I would ask that the file be entered into evidence.
We'll accept that into evidence. This time, I would ask all those who intend to testify in the case, please stand, raise your right hand, be sworn in by Ms. Vance.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I affirm.
Please be seated.
I do.
Swear or affirm?
On May 20th, 2025, at approximately 12:30 p.m., I sent an underage volunteer into Katana Sushi for the sole purpose to purchase an alcoholic beverage. The volunteer was approached by a server, and the volunteer asked for a Heineken beer. The server asked for his ID, which was vertical. After viewing his ID, the server gave him a Heineken. The volunteer texted me and said that he had been served. I entered the location, and the volunteer identified the server. The server produced a passport and a New York driver's license, identifying herself as Akshan Zhang. Ms. Zhang advised that she misread the ID and was sorry. She also advised that she knows it is a crime to serve a minor. Ms. Zhang advised that she would like to attend the diversion program. The owner-manager, John Chen, was at the location and advised of the incident. Mr. Chen advised that the server is a new employee and has not gone through alcohol awareness program. The volunteer is 19 years of age and had a vertical license. A follow-up compliance check was conducted last night in which they passed, and in the past 5 years, there's been 7 checks at the location, and this is the first violation. And if I may, the defense has already seen this. This is the evidence I'd like to submit.
We'll accept that into evidence. Okay, at this time, Ms. Kelly, would you like to proceed?
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning, Kelly Schaefer Miller, 73 East Main Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. I am here this morning on behalf of Katana Sushi of Mount Airy, LLC. I have present with me both of the license holders, Mr. John Chen, seated to my right, and Ms. Lynn Knight, also seated to my right. As Mr. Dixon introduced in the file, we are here today to offer some information, answer any questions that you might have, but we are not disputing the violation itself. I think you'll hear today that Mr. Chen is very remorseful of the situation and he's not alone, that no one ever wants to be here for a violation. This establishment opened in 2009. There was one past violation that occurred almost 10 years ago in 2016. I think as the inspector stated, this is the second only violation of this location in approximately 16 years of business. There are 2 license holders, as I said, Ms. Lynn Knight and Mr. John Chen. This is a small restaurant with only approximately 8 employees total. That's servers and other employees as well. Both John and his wife serve as the primary managers of the establishment, and as you heard, he was present during that first violation, and then his wife was also present last night during that compliance check. They are there almost every day, if not every day, that the establishment is open. When their employees are hired, they do go through an in-house training program where John's wife trains them on the policies of the establishment, both related to the service of beverages as well as just the general policies of the restaurant itself. After that in-house training of employees, they are then provided reoccurring reminders at shift time of the policies related to the service of alcoholic beverages. They are trained to card any patron that appears over the age of 40 years old. At the time of this violation, as you heard, some of the servers were not alcohol awareness trained, but they did go through this in-house training that they conduct. The server who violated the rules at this that we're talking about here today had been employed at this establishment for approximately 1 month. She was not alcohol awareness certified. She had gone through the in-house training, and there's really no explanation for her oversight other than she did not look at and correctly apply the math on the license. As you heard, she did ask for the license. She looked at the license. She did not do the math correctly. She is still employed there. She has gone through additional in-house training. She has complied with the state's attorney's diversion program and has completed the Catherine's Cause training. She is also signed up to be alcohol certified through Mr. Benfer's class that is being held tomorrow. She understands that she has made a mistake and otherwise has presented herself as a valuable employee, which is why she remains there on sort of a probationary status, if you will. Since this violation, the establishment has implemented a few changes and reinforced policies in a written format. So I will hand you copies of these in a minute, but one of the big changes, actually, let me hand them to you now. Are you going to take them up for me? Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna pass it on to
They're going
someone
to be
else.
delivered to you. Can you also attend my BZA hearings, please? I made a few copies.
I can make them evidence. Just give them to Tim.
So before I get into the exhibits that I've provided for you there, like I said, the server is signed up to attend the alcohol certification course tomorrow with Mr. Benfer as well. John is also attending that with her too. Since the violation, the establishment has implemented a policy to not serve vertical IDs. And in order to enforce that with employees, Exhibit 1 shows you a written policy that has been distributed and signatures have been obtained from the employees, specifically any employees who serve food or beverages. That written policy was, like I said, distributed and signed. That explains the in-house policy. The second, what has been marked as Exhibit 2, is photographs of additional signage that has been located around the restaurant. Some of that signage is located at the point of sale systems. You can see the computer in some of those photos. That's the point of sale system. So some of that is directed as reminders and reinforcement to employees, and some of that is outward-facing signage directed to patrons. That signage, the photos of that signage included in Exhibit 2 is signage that the board has prepared and is part of the board's welcome packet to license holders. So that is what has been used around the establishment. Applicant's Exhibit 3 is a written employee alcohol service policy. This is not necessarily indicative of any changes at the establishment. It's just putting everything in writing so that now the employees have a second reinforced way of receiving this in-house training, signing to confirm that they have received this and read this, and then they also have copies available to them so that they can review it at any point in time as well. What's been marked as our Exhibit 4 is, again, not a change to the establishment, but a written policy regarding the diversion program. Mr. Chen is aware of the diversion program and has been aware of that and has trained his employees. That was not a surprise to the server. But this is just a written policy that now every new employee will receive. The signatures that you have are the existing employees, but the theory here would be that any new employee while going through their in-house training would be provided with copies of these written policies that would be reviewed with them, and then they would sign acknowledging that these are the policies of the establishment. So again, these are not all necessarily new policies, but they are just a reinforcement and another attempted mechanism to ensure that no future violations occur for this establishment. Mr. Chen additionally has decided to ensure that all servers get independently alcohol certified on a quarterly basis. So he and I have spoken about that, and his intent would be that to evaluate any employees on a quarterly basis who are not alcohol certified through an independent training program, and then ensure that they get trained, either whether that be through one of Mr. Benfer's monthly classes or through another qualified class. This is a license holder with what I would say is an excellent reputation in the community and who holds his reputation and this license very seriously. And I think he was very disappointed in this occurring, has had a great deal of communications with his staff in relation to this, and will do everything he can to make sure that this does not occur in the future. And hopefully some of the things that we've provided you here today are indicative of him attempting to take every step he can to ensure that the employees are very well aware of these policies. I think probably the biggest and most impactful to you all is the implementation of the no vertical policy, because had that been in place at the time, perhaps this violation would not have occurred because the server would not have served. Sometimes you see violations where the server does not request an ID. That was not the case here. She did request the ID. So if that had been a policy, perhaps we could have avoided this situation. And hopefully it will avoid the situation in any future cases. So we appreciate your consideration. We're here and happy to answer any questions that you have. With that let me just formally ask that these 4 exhibits please be entered.
We'll accept them in evidence.
Thank you.
You have a copy? Commissioners, questions, comments?
So it's clear, and you made the point, counsel, that I was going to make emphatically, is that if you had the no vertical license policy, before this happened, that you probably, not definitely, but good chance you wouldn't be here. And I see that you're implementing that. And in your exhibit number 3, you do put in there, no vertical IDs are accepted. So that is a new policy in your exhibit number 3, which is good. Also, I see that in your exhibit number 3, you have increased the age of asking for ID to the appearance of under 40. And previously, it looks like it might have been under 30. Your instruction to your servers was to ask for an ID. Well, now I think you've added another little level of protection for you, because 40 is different than 30 in appearance, I guess. So that's good. A question I have is, how are, or maybe Ms. Miller can answer this, how is this licensee related to the other Katana Sushis, if at all, in Carroll County?
relationship to the other Katana Sushis? They're relatives, correct? Is
In
there another?
Westminster.
Yeah,
The
in
one in
Westminster.
Westminster? The Westminster Katana?
There's one in Eldersburg, I think.
Is there one in Eldersburg?
There's
There's one in Howard County.
Yeah, that's in the Howard County.
So,
So,
they're all, are they related somehow?
Yes, some, yes,
Some of
they're
them.
relatives.
yeah, and yeah, and the Eldersburg too. My sister owned them.
Okay. And our inspector said that the server misread the license, but then if you had the vertical license prohibition, there would be no reading for her. I guess I'm just reiterating what I'm sure your counsel has told you. You have a very good attorney, and she knows what this board likes to hear from its licensees, so I know you've heard us before, but I'm saying it again. Okay. Did anyone from Katana Sushi in Mount Airy attend the recent seminar that we had with Inspector Benfer?
Did you go, that's the annual?
Yeah.
Did you attend, they have like an annual conference meeting with the board and the inspector where they go through some of the alcohol certification sort of.
Yeah, it's a seminar that we
Right.
offer annually to our licensees to help them avoid problems like this and other problems. And it's voluntary attendance, but we request our licensees to send someone associated with their business there, so maybe they can learn some good information that would help them avoid being in a forum like this. And so it sounds like probably the answer is no. So I would just suggest to you that maybe in the future, keep an eye out for the email that we send out announcing this seminar. It's helpful. We think it's helpful, and our inspector does a very good job of presenting good evidence and good information to our licensees.
I do. I was on vacation this week, or that week, yeah.
How many of your servers are alcohol management trained prior to this instance?
John and 2 other servers had alcohol certifications that I have copies
But
of.
it's not valid.
Well, it's the
TIPS 360 is not valid.
Okay, but, yes, it's the TIPS 360,
It's not
That was
considered-
online?
It's not valid.
yes.
That's online.
Yeah.
There's no test there. It's not a valid certificate.
Okay. So that raises a point then, I guess.
They will have the class tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I guess you said that, yeah.
Yes.
Is all the staff going to the class tomorrow?
2 people are attending tomorrow, and then, like I said, John will do an evaluation of the staff members and then send additional to the future, because that, hopefully, we know that there's at least a monthly access to a class, and if not, there are, I did look online, and TIPS is starting to do some in-person trainings and testing. The locations obviously are not as convenient, but they do have some in other counties that you can attend and do the testing, the in-person testing for. So through one of those methods, they will be alcohol certified.
And John's certification is current and valid?
He will be attending tomorrow. I don't know if he has another certification beyond the TIPS 360.
So is one of the licensees certified currently?
They thought that the TIPS 360, as you've heard from several people, qualified, and I think they were misunderstood that they had to have the in-person testing component.
So what you're saying, in a nutshell, is no one in the establishment was certified.
Does anybody that worked there, did they have an in-person test when they got certified? Like, did they sit with somebody and do a test when they were certified? Do you know?
Actually, I did.
You did sit
Yeah.
with a person
Yes.
and get a test?
Mhm.
Okay, so he did have an in-person test.
But when?
Well, was it through this?
At the time, I didn't realize TIPS 360 was. Gotcha.
March 13th, 2024, it was completed, and it expires March 12th, 2028.
Did
And
they
I will say that, I don't know if you recall this, but on the last one we looked at, remember how it had that little thing and it said, this does not qualify?
Yeah.
It doesn't have, this does not have that. So
TIPS 360, if you go onto the website, the actual page, it does say it, but it's in very small ink, and you have to click on it a couple times.
Yeah.
I found out probably April, maybe February, April, that, you know, so at the time, we were accepting it, but then realizing it wasn't in person. Some people said they took it in person, but I can't find anywhere you can take a TIPS 360 in-person class. So I've been lenient on having people getting certified if they sign up to take it. Next year, when it comes to certifications, I know TIPS 360, unless they come up with something different, is not valid.
Okay. Well, either way, it's going to be resolved tomorrow.
Yes.
When were they last checked?
Last night.
Prior to last night?
5/20,
Well, the
the violation.
Yeah, it was 5/20.
January
But hide
28th?
that, yeah, January 28th of 2025. So they've
They
been
were
checked.
checked January the 28th of 25.
Yes, sir.
And you just checked for alcohol sales?
I checked in May. The reason is because we have the wave set up that we do. The check that I did in January went to last year's
When
wave.
you do the wave, when you check, you don't check for other things?
Age compliance check, no, he does not check.
When I saw you the other day in a restaurant, what were you checking?
That was an inspection.
What all do you guys inspect? Don't you inspect for proper certifications?
Yes, sir. Well, as long as the owner and the managers have somebody's there that has the alcohol awareness, I mean, there's nothing that says every
But
employee
they're
needs to have.
required to have those certificates on the
Yes, sir.
premises.
They do.
And don't you check them to make sure they're there?
Yes, sir. I haven't been to Katana I haven't made my trip to Mount Airy for inspections yet. They're pretty time consuming, and when I get up there, I can only get a couple done a day.
Questions?
No. No, I have no further questions.
There are no further questions. Testimony is closed and evidence has been presented and is closed. Would you like to make any closing remarks, Ms. Kelly?
Thank you. I would just say a few brief things. I understand the seriousness of the alcohol certification requirement, and I think my client also takes that seriously. I would also just point out that in this situation, these are people who have clearly done a good job training and enforcing these policies with their employees to date, in terms of how to check IDs and making sure that IDs are checked so that there are not other violations that have occurred. So training will happen. We will ensure that it meets the requirements of the state code and the county code. But I don't want that to overshadow the fact that this has been a very responsibly run establishment to date, and that this is ownership who really takes a serious role in the training themselves and also the actions of their employees. So I would appreciate your consideration of the exhibits that have been offered here to you today and the steps that my client has taken to ensure that there will not be a future violation, and would ask that you respectfully take that into consideration in determining any penalty of the license holder today. Thank you.
Thank you. Inspector, would you like to make any closing comments?
Sir, Mr. John was very cooperative. He was really mad at the employee for doing that, and I did hear him say that it was a vertical ID at the time when we were in there, so I'm glad they've made the changes, but
Evidence testimony is totally closed now. We will deliberate the merits of the case and hopefully come to a resolution. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I do accept council's closing remarks about the gravity with which the licensees and your clients take the matter. knowing you, I am sure that you have gone through a number of issues that you know that this board feels is important. And I believe that your clients are diligent, and they have taken those to heart. You have described some positive steps that the licensees have taken, and I think that is good. The compliance check record that we have before us shows 5 successful compliance checks going back to 2010 before this particular failure. And I think that reinforces what you were saying, Ms. Miller, about that they take this matter fairly seriously and that they try not to be here. I feel that your remarks that they are going to make extra strenuous efforts in the future not to appear before this board, I think, are correct. And so this is in my view, this is a first violation during our 5-year window period that we look back. And those are my remarks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner?
I will agree with everything that Commissioner Barnhart has to say. Your new policies are impressive. It's good to see that you took into consideration where the failure occurred and how to correct the failure in the future. It's unfortunate that you didn't have a no vertical license prior to this, but now that you know that that is an issue, you're going to change that. I'm impressed with the way you have it printed out, have them sign it so that they know exactly your views on these subjects. But ultimately, unfortunately, a minor was served. That being said, I'm ready to make a motion if it so pleases the chairman.
Please do.
In the case of 65 violation hearing for sale to a minor, I find you culpable and would assess a fine of $300.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been properly made and seconded that this commission find the licensee culpable of a violations of sale to a minor and issue a $300 fine to be paid by the licensee as issued to Lynn A. Knight and John Chen for the use of Katana Sushi of Mount Airy, LLC, trading as Katana Sushi Mount Airy, located at 1311 South Main Street, number 102, in Mount Airy, Maryland. Any further discussion on the motion?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. This board finds you culpable of violating the liquor laws in sales to a minor and issue a fine of $300 that must be paid within 30 days of official notice of the action of this board. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you all very much. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
With that, I believe our 11:30 case is here. 6567 is the case number. Supposed to. With that, Mr. Dixon, when you are ready, please call case 6567.
All right, case 6567, an application to change the licensee from Jan Lee Z to Tao Mao for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Tao Mao for the use of Q168 LLC, trading as Sushi Q5, 250 Angler Road, Suite A1, Westminster, Maryland, 21157, in Election District 7. In the file of this matter, we have the following documents. A June 27th, 2025, notice of public hearing for this case. A June 20th, 2025, notice of public hearing for this case. And then an application, there's a June 5th, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Tao Mao for the use of Q168 LLC. There is a May 29th, 2025 letter from David F. Mister to the Board of License Commissioners. And the license includes an application, character references, criminal background information, naturalization certificate, articles of organization, MVA record, resignation letter, operating agreement, stock information. I think I said articles of organization and a training certificate. I would ask that the file be entered into evidence.
We'll accept that in evidence. This time, I would ask all those who intend to testify, please stand, raise your right hand, be sworn in by Ms. Vance.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may be seated. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chairman Browning. How are you?
Good.
Good morning to the rest of the board. For the record, David F. Mister, Mr. Winter and Bartlett LLC, representing the applicants. Mr. Chairman, I deferred to you and obviously to Assistant County Attorney as to how you would do this procedurally. I will tell you that all three of these applications are virtually identical except for the location. In each case, the licensee coming off is the same one, and those being added are the same for each of these locations. This is a family Asian restaurant business, and they're all interrelated. And Jennifer, who's here today, who's one of the principal stockholders, is the primary owner of each one of those locations. And she, in several cases, is a licensee. At the outset, Mr. Chairman, with board's permission, I would like to move to amend the application to include an additional applicant. As the board probably has observed, and as the file Mr. Dixon has entered into evidence, we had filed to remove Jianli Z and to add Tao Mu in his place. By way of background, which I'm sure Ms. Vance can verify, this happened rather suddenly. Mr. Z resigned without any advance notice to us, so we had to sort of scramble as quick as we could to get this before the board so that there was relatively seamless with regard to resident licensee. I take responsibility for the fact that in the initial filing to add Tao Mu, even though he is a permanent resident of the United States, it didn't obviously comply with this board's policy and practice to require a United States citizen to be one of the licensees. As the board may be aware, the policy and practice varies from county to county in the state of Maryland. And there's even, I think Mr. Dixon probably knows this, there's even, I think at least the Attorney General's opinion, if not a court decision, that indicated that citizenship was not a requirement to hold a liquor license. However, this board obviously gets to decide its policies and practice and rules. So that was my error, that we initially offered only Mr. Mu, who is a resident, a permanent resident, but is not a United States citizen. Mr. Ming Liu, he goes by Jonathan, is not only resident, but he is a United States citizen. So we're seeking to amend the application to include him as an additional licensee in the place of Lee Z.
As opposed to Mr. Mu? Or
Now,
who are?
Mr. Mu is also going on,
Okay. And-
Mr. Barnhart, but we've added Mr. Lee, Lou, excuse me, so that we are complying with the board's requirements.
Counsel, can you spell that name for me, the amended applicant?
Yes, it's Ming, M-I-N-G, Liu, L-U, and he goes by Jonathan Liu,
Thank you.
who is to my immediate right. What's immediate left? Oh, okay. He said, as he tells me, his English name is Jonathan. His Chinese name is Ming.
Okay, thank you. So we'll have two licensees, one Mr. Liu, one Mr. Mao.
Yes.
And we're transferring from Jean Lee Z.
That's correct, Mr. Barnhart. Now, on the question of all three, the question of can we consider all three?
I don't really want to do the hearing 3 times, same hearing, but because they're different locations. So, but I think that's the safe thing, that we have to go through it 3 times.
Also,
Because there might be different owners that come in at some point. I mean, it doesn't have to all be what it is now, the same people. It might, maybe somebody else will get involved. So I think the
Chairman,
safe
may I
thing is.
suggest that what we'll do is we'll put on testimony on the first of the 3 hearings, and then perhaps I can adopt by reference into the record that testimony in the 2 additional hearings. It would be from the same persons.
Right, so we'd have 3 different transcripts.
Right.
And 3 different case numbers, which I think is what you, Mr. Dixon, are alluding to as required. And I agree with you, I think that's required.
But we can refer to, we don't do it very often, but refer to testimony at one hearing for other hearings.
And council's going to incorporate by reference testimony that we have heard from the prior hearing for the next 2 hearings, I guess.
Okay, we can do it that way.
I don't mean to be unique here, but just trying to save the board some time.
Okay, let's proceed with 65, 67.
And I think that is, that's
Engler Road.
Q168.
Q5.
Yeah, that would be Q168, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. If we go to that, then let me say that, have you all been sworn in yet? I've lost track of that.
They've been sworn in. We're doing Q5, 250 Engler Road.
Right, which is, the correct corporate name is Q168 LLC, trading as Sushi Q5, right. That's 2050 Angler Road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. Liu, you have been sworn in, identified for the record. Please tell the board about your background. First off, you're a United States citizen, is that correct? Mr. Liu? You're a United States citizen? You have to say yes or no.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been a U.S. citizen? How many years?
Can you have him speak in that microphone in front of him so we can hear him?
10 years, okay, that's great. And you have a relationship with Jennifer Key, is that correct? Ms. Key back here?
Yeah.
All right. And you're willing to serve as the resident licensee for this location on Angler Road, is that correct?
Yeah.
You're not actually going to be involved in any day-to-day operations, are you?
Yeah. No.
Okay. But you understand that your responsibilities as an alcoholic beverage licensee, if the board approves this, is that you have to respond to the board anytime you would be summoned for any matter, particularly if there would be a violation, and you would have to appear. Do you understand that and agree to do that?
Yeah.
And will you regularly communicate with the managers and other licensees for this restaurant?
Yeah.
Questions from Mr. Dixon or the members of the board.
What is Mr. Liu's ownership interest in the company?
Let me take a look at that. It is, I'm sorry, 10%, Mr. Barhart.
Okay, so that would be 10% of
Which I think is the minimum
Q168
requirement.
LLC?
I'm sorry.
That's 10% of Q168 LLC.
That's correct.
And just maybe to cut to the chase, for the next two hearings after this one, would testimony be the same?
Yes, he is a 10% member of each of those three LLCs, Mr. Barhart.
Thank you.
And I believe we have provided, as part of the package, we've provided the assignment of membership interests in writing.
From Mr. Z.
From Mr. Z, and in some cases, it transferred from other existing members to make sure that he had the 10%.
Okay, okay. These are all LLCs?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So what will be the policy on vertical IDs? Will it stay the same? Will it be different for the acceptance of them? What is this licensee's view on vertical license acceptance?
As they already practice and well know, and has been reiterated to them by me, that vertical IDs will not be accepted for purposes of allowing one to purchase alcoholic beverages. As, of course, the board is well aware, one can be a patron of a Class B restaurant regardless of the age, as long as obviously the restaurant's operating within lawful hours. But they certainly do not qualify as an appropriate identification to determine one is of appropriate age to purchase alcohol. And we do with all these locations, but let me just talk about this one right now, Q168 LLC. They have a policy and practice that anybody who appears to be under 40 years of age does in fact have to present appropriate identification. And in some cases, I believe their past practice has been that everybody, even somebody, an old codger like me, would have to present identification, just like they made me do when I came into the office building today.
And is this applicant alcohol management certified?
Not yet. We intend to have him do that, even though, as I've said, he is not going to be involved in the day-to-day operations or management, but we do understand that it's always good practice and usually required by boards that all licensees, whether they're operational or not, get certification. And we regularly certify all of the servers at each of these restaurants, and Mr. Liu will be certified in that regard. I will also say, one of the other principal policies and practices that anyone who appears to be under the influence of alcohol will be refused service, will not be served alcoholic beverages, as is required by law.
The problem is if Mr. Liu is not involved in the daily activity of the restaurant, then what use can he be having alcohol management training?
Well, I don't disagree, but I know that most boards seem to desire that all licensees have it. And it seems to me that's a minor burden to bear for the benefit of doing that. If the board would take the position that if he's not involved in day-to-day operations or any kind of management, that it doesn't need to be done, then certainly we would accept that. But
Yeah,
we're
well,
perfectly
that's
willing
not
to-
my position. I guess I'm still trying to unravel some of the new nuances here. So Mr. Liu is replacing Mr. Lin or Ms. Lin? Because the application has applicant B is a,
Tal Mo, who is here to my immediate right, board left. They're both effectively replacing.
okay, I have a Ming Ling Lin as applicant B.
That's him.
That's the
It's
gentleman
this
there.
gentleman here.
Well, I thought that was
No,
Mr. Liu.
No, this is Tal Mo, here. And this is Mr. Liu, right? Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you are Mr. Liu. You're
No,
ju-
he's Mr.
That's
Liu.
Mr. Liu. I'm
That's
sorry,
Mr.
it's
Liu.
far left.
Down on the left.
Right, okay, so who is Ming Ling Lin?
Jennifer, come up here.
That's what I'm looking at.
She came up last time.
This part, I must say that even though I have represented this group for a while, and I have a number of other Chinese clients, I get a little confused with the names myself. Jennifer, identify yourself for the record, please.
Jennifer Q. Ming Lu is the one on with the beige shirt. He's a citizen. And Tao Mu is the permanent resident and sitting with the black T-shirt here.
Okay, and who is Jonathan Liu?
He also goes by Jonathan, the black T-shirt.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we, as I was working through with the resignation letter for the 3 entities, I've noticed that it didn't come across that, it didn't bother to ask, are you a citizen or are you a permanent resident? I just honestly wrote down who owns percentage. And I particularly chose Jonathan, which is Tao Mu, because he's fluent in English and he's involved with daily activities with sales and ordering and trainings, staffs and everything. And as I wrote the papers down in a percentage, Ming Lu is originally 10% owner of the saltwater. Westlide LLC, and he is a citizen that we confirmed. He was naturalized like 10 years ago.
Tao Mu.
Ming Lu.
Ming Lu, the U.S.
However,
citizen.
he's been our staff since 3 years ago. That he's been working for us for 3 years already.
Okay.
At many other locations.
So this question, maybe will help me. Which licensee is a U.S. citizen?
Ming Lu.
That is Ming?
Ming Lu. M-I-N-G, and then L-U is the last name.
L-U, okay. And
This
Jonathan?
Yes.
Tao?
Jonathan,
Tao.
Jonathan, yes.
Okay, on the application, we have applicant A. Is that the
It's
gentleman in the
Tao,
black shirt?
Yes.
Okay. So the resident agent is Ming Lu. He's an American citizen, but he will not be involved in the business.
He is a existing staff and current staff at all of our locations.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
that his job is mainly in the back office kitchen. He doesn't interact with the customers, or he doesn't interact with ordering alcohols. However, he is at the restaurant and on site every day.
I may have created some of that confusion. I was actually referring to the service of alcohol and the
Yes.
overseeing of that. He's a kitchen man. And he was already, one of the reasons this was ideal, he already owned 10% of Westlight LLC, and was only had to transfer membership interests in the other 2 entities to qualify him to be the resident agent.
So is Jonathan alcohol management certified?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does he work in any restaurants in Carroll County?
Any restaurants in?
The Sushi Q's in Carroll County, which ones does he?
Jonathan, you talking about Jonathan?
Jonathan works saltwater. I know he works saltwater.
Yes.
Does he work Sushi Q in Carroll County?
The Westminster one.
Okay.
And then sometimes if someone is off and then we need extra staff, he goes to recover other locations.
But mainly he's in West, okay. Just want to know where I can find him.
I hope I didn't create all this confusion.
So your amendment precisely is, are you removing anybody from the application?
No, we're just adding, with the
Okay.
board's permission, we will be adding Ming Lu in addition to
Okay, so,
Jonathan.
so I guess what I'm looking at is the amended application, because Ming Lu is on this application as applicant B, that I'm looking at.
Yes.
Okay, see, I misunderstood. I thought you were making the amendment as we sat here.
I think Mr. Dixon and I had a little brief aside before we started the hearing.
Okay.
And I think it was because the advertisement only indicated Tao Mu and did
okay.
not include Ming Lu. Even though the application was there, Ms. Vance had it, it wasn't included in the advertisement because it occurred subsequent.
That's my misunderstanding. I thought I was looking at an applicant that needed to be removed. I'm sorry.
Both applications are in the file, the original with just Tao Mu.
So the first one I'm looking
Then
at, yeah.
the amended one.
Okay, So I'm looking at the amended one at the top of the file.
I think I may have caused that confusion by not making it clear as to why we were amending.
Okay.
Is Mr. Liu at all familiar with the alcohol rules and regulations of Carroll County?
To be honest, with respect, he is not certified as of yet, but it will be scheduled within less than 14 days.
I don't mean
from as
just
of
the
today.
certifications, the rules and regulations of just Carroll County.
Right?
When he had a restaurant with his wife, did they have a liquor license? Can you ask?
Not yet, not as of yet.
We'll make sure that he reads them. If there's any question about translation, that be fully translated for him. And of course, that'll be done within the same time frame as his alcohol awareness certification, which would be within the next 2 weeks. Is that what you say, John?
John Murray.
Yeah, they usually use John Murray as their training for all their restaurants, who I'm sure the board's familiar with. Although I can recommend somebody different if you want.
Mm-hmm. Cheaper.
Oh, that's not it.
Chinese language too.
You Chinese?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
I'll get you the file.
It's a sign-in sheet. Is a sign-in sheet in front of that file, George?
Could,
No, it would be there.
Be on the other side.
No.
Oh, there it is.
We usually gather up all of our staffs, like every 6 months, who is new, who is not certified, who's expiring, we gather up and then we pick one spot. And then the middle of usually like a city location, 8 o'clock in the morning, Friday, they certify them.
So Mr. Mu was assigned 10%.
He already owns 10%.
Well, there's an assignment here, I'm trying to figure it out.
He also holds 10% of each, all three, right? Yes. Yeah, yes, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Mu also has a 10% interest as a member of each of the three LLCs.
Okay, I'm just looking at an assignment of membership interest dated
Takes a test.
May 23rd, 2025, of 10% to this gentleman.
Yes.
Okay.
Is your last name Q-U-I or Q-I-U? Q-I-U.
Would the board like me to go on to Jonathan now?
I have no problem with that. I can-
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Mu?
Yep.
State your name for the record.
My name is Tao Mo, T-A-O-M-O-U.
Okay, you go by Jonathan also?
Yes.
That's your American. And you already have a position with several of the restaurants of Sushi Q, is that correct?
Yes.
What are your duties? And can you tell us for which restaurants you have traditionally up till now been working?
Sushi Q 5, which is in the Westminster.
Okay, that's the one we're considering right
Yeah.
now, the Q168 LLC.
Right.
Okay. Is that where you've had your primary duties?
No, primary duty is actually on the 6212 Ridge Road.
Everyone
Is
look at
that?
this.
Saltwater.
Saltwater, okay,
Yeah.
that's Westlight LLC, is that correct?
Yes.
It trades as saltwater.
Yes.
And have you been engaged in any kind of management for Q1688 LLC as of yet?
Yes.
Okay, so as needed, you've served in a management capacity at the other two restaurants
Yes.
in addition to what your primary responsibility is?
Yes.
And do you anticipate going forward from now that you will probably continue to do that? That you might have one primary location, but you will continue to serve as necessary at the other two restaurants?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're a full-time employee, is that correct?
Right.
What are your typical duties? What is the range of the duties you're expected to perform for the restaurants?
I'm doing the front job, which is contact with the customer directly, and also training the new employees about the liquor rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you'll be probably one who will be training Mr. Liu make sure he understands the rules and regulations of the board. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And in regard to the front, that means you're actually supervising this alcohol servers. Is that not correct?
That's right.
And do you, on a regular basis, communicate with them and reiterate for them what they're expected to do with regard to proper identification of patrons to purchase alcohol, as well as refusing service to anyone who appears to be under the influence of alcohol?
Right.
Okay. You talk to them about what's appropriate identification?
That's right.
Okay. And I assume you've also talked to them about the fact that unfortunately, there's a proliferation of counterfeit identifications, which unfortunately are very good and pretty cheap these days, I understand. You've discussed that with them, have you not?
That's right. I have.
All right. And as was asked by the commissioner, it's very clear, is it not, that you've instructed your servers that they do not accept a vertical ID as any form of proper identification to purchase alcohol. Is that also correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you've indicated already in your testimony that you are alcohol awareness certified. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you will continue to maintain your certification periodically as necessary. Is that correct?
Yes.
How often do you meet with your service staff to discuss appropriate policy with regard to service of alcohol?
To be honest, every day in the morning we open the restaurant and mention that at the beginning.
Okay. That's very laudable. I wish all my clients did that. So
Is that at this location exclusively? The one that we're hearing right now, the Sushi Q5?
In other words, do the training set, reiteration and training at all 3 restaurants?
As long as working in that location, I mention that to everybody.
Does any other manager do that when you're not there?
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
There's a similar policy and practice with regard to the management throughout all 3 restaurants. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Jennifer, go ahead, sir.
We have a group messaging system between managers only and including the staffs only. When any incident happens, it gets all reported to the system to let everyone know who's on duties.
And Jennifer, as an owner, you are involved intimately in making sure these policies are followed and to again, reacquaint or reiterate for service staff what appropriate policy and practice is, do you not?
Correct. When every time they hire human resources, replacing someone brand new, I have to confirm their age and I have to advise them, you're not allowed to make mixed drinks, you're not allowed to serve alcohol, you can't take orders. I have to advise them. I have to check everyone's licenses, make sure when their expiration date is, and schedule Mr. John Murray on the back office. So I do most of those, make sure that the files and licenses and trainings are up to date in the back office.
And again, policy, as far as the applicable law, with regard to all 3 of these restaurants, boards often inquire that you understand that all alcohol must be purchased from licensed wholesalers in the state of Maryland. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And you, even if you run short on a particular sake or something like that, you can't go to the local liquor store and buy it, can you?
We don't do that at all. We don't do that. And I always let my Carroll County managers know that this is the hardest county out of all the locations that I have these in cadets out. So please be careful and do not take any vertical IDs every month. That's what I tell them.
We mean that in the best sense of the term, hardest.
How many of your staff at Sushi Q5 are alcohol management trained?
I would say between 4 to 6, and usually four of the waitresses.
Out of how many?
Out of 12. However, the actual front staffs are between 4 and 5, and I still make sure at least one kitchen person and one sushi bar staff is certified at the same time.
And is that indicative of your other 2 locations too?
All the locations. Managers has to be trained, front sushi bar staff has to be trained, and then all the front has to be trained. Those are just our
But you're
general rules.
certified?
Yes, they have to be certified.
What is the approximate ratio between food and alcohol sales for Q5?
To be honestly, I think it was a 0.33% or 1.33%.
Is that pretty much consistent with the other two restaurants?
Yes, most of the locations. It was less than 2% for all of our locations. They're mainly sushi, our lunch businesses. Our locations are in the neighborhood, not nearby any cities or party locations. Therefore, we sell less than 2%.
Daniel College is right behind you.
Oh. They're good kids. They're good kids.
Is that what used to be Western Maryland College we're
Yes,
talking about?
yes, yes, sir.
That's what it was back in my days when we played it on lacrosse.
Questions, Commissioners?
So just so I know the players, I'm slow. Tao Mu, or Jonathan Mu,
Yes, sir.
is not an American citizen, but he is one of the applicants for this license. He's not on it right now. It's a transfer to him. And Mr. Lin, or I guess, I don't know if I'm... Ming Lu. No, that's Jonathan. No, Jonathan Mu. Oh, we got Mu and Lu.
Yeah,
This is my problem.
correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. Ming Lu is an American citizen, and you also will be on the license. So these are the two principal applicants absolutely the two applicants we have are right here, these two gentlemen. You're trained in alcohol management technique, and you will be, is that what the testimony is?
Yes, we will.
Okay. But you definitely are, so, okay. I think I have the scoreboard a little bit better now.
And I will point out to the board that I have advised my clients that the requirements of the law as Carroll County is concerned, which is not necessarily true throughout the state, is that there must be at least one alcohol awareness certified person on the premises at all times that they're operating. And they're aware of that. We've reiterated that to them, and that certainly will be done. Is that not true, Jennifer?
We are overqualified, not only one staff.
That's a state law. That's
Yes.
across the state. It
Yeah.
has to be, one person has to be certified.
Right.
We just add the licensee.
I still don't get it.
While he's looking things up, Mr., it's my understanding that Mr. Licensee will be the citizen licensee on all three of these transfers, correct?
He will be, as will Mr. Mu.
Right.
They will both be licensees on each of the three locations.
So basically, very simply, Mr. Jan Lee is being removed from all three licenses, and these two gentlemen will take his place on all three licenses.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
And at least one of the licensees is currently alcohol awareness trained, and the other one has intentions to get trained.
We hope within the next 14 days.
You have other questions?
Class tomorrow.
Any other questions on this transfer?
I do have one question. This is Q5 we're talking about? Is that right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And was this restaurant recently found guilty of an underage violation?
Yes, sir.
And what was the disposition of that? Does anybody recall?
Fine.
That was 300, right?
I don't know if Tim Dixon has a case file, he can look at the case file.
And Ms. Jennifer, you were here for that?
I was not here for that.
I
February
was here.
20th violation.
But you weren't a licensee at the time?
No.
And the licensee was not here, is that right?
I'm sorry, pardon me.
License, he should have been here.
Yeah, the licensee was here.
Licensee back then was Jan C., who
Who's resigning,
submitted the
yes.
resigned, yes.
He was present.
So it was expired, it was time for him to go.
What was the fine amount?
$300 fine. April 9th, 2025.
I believe that was a sting operation, was it not?
No, it was just regular
Our
compliance.
underage compliance checks, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I call, yeah. The only reason I mention, I only mention that because while that's a slam dunk, obviously, for the government, I don't know that this is the type of place that kids want to try and go and drink.
Right.
The server at that time was a new hire, was trained, and was fired
Yes,
at that time. And a fine of $300 was paid.
that's correct, Mr. Chairman. I was here for that.
Yes.
Did any of these Katana restaurants send a representative to the seminar that we just had, the annual seminar?
I don't believe so.
Our inspector is saying no. Maybe you can explain to the people here later after the hearing,
Okay.
rather than take time now.
So for my sanity on the names, who is Ming Liang Lin? So his name is also Lu, Ming Lu.
Ming Lu, correct.
But this-
I believe Lian is middle name.
But the last name on here is Lin, L-I-N.
Yeah,
What is his
there's no
last
Lou
name?
on the application.
LU.
Oh,
Okay.
L-U.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
LU.
there's no Lu on the application.
Maybe a typo.
Okay.
If
Ha-
his
ha-
name is L-U and you're seeing L-I-N,
Right.
it may just be a typo.
Typo.
That's what I kept
Okay,
gravitating to.
that's what I thought you were looking at, because I thought I saw that too. Okay,
So it's Lou and Mu,
Mu, correct.
okay.
not,
Okay.
no Lin, L-I-N.
No
No,
Lin,
no.
yes, okay.
Sounds like a law firm.
It's always tough when we have three attorneys here. Any other questions? Mister?
I have no further questions with regard to this application for Q168 LLC. Should I just
If there are no other questions or evidence to be presented, it is closed, and we will now, do you want to make any final statements on this app?
Do we need character
The only thing I said, we brought a couple other people in case the board was concerned who would just attest, they work for Sushi Q, but will attest to the fitness and properness of both of these applicants to hold an alcoholic beverage license in Carroll County. And I would just urge the board to approve this transfer and approve these two gentlemen.
Can we get the three witnesses on record? Just come to that microphone there.
Microphone right there.
State your full name and address.
Nicola Lynn, 29 Maryland Avenue, Pikesville.
Nicole, you're familiar with these two applicants, are you not, personally?
Yes.
Do you believe that they would be fit and proper persons to hold an alcoholic beverage license in Carroll County?
Yes.
Questions from the board?
Why do you believe that?
Because I've worked with them and they do pretty well.
You believe that they're honest and hardworking? And,
Yes.
and how long have you known them? Each one?
For months, like half a year.
You can't prove it by me.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what her name is.
Happy-
6 months.
6 months. And how do you know them?
Know what?
How is it that you came to
Through
know
work.
these two applicants that
Through
you're
work.
vouching for?
Her mom works there,
Oh,
and
oh, yeah.
her mom asked her to come here, help out and work, and that's how she knows that.
Okay, okay. So your mother is also familiar with
Yes.
these two gentlemen?
Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Sean Hobbs. It'll be 4177 Thomas Drive, Maryland, Mount Airy, Maryland.
How long have you known the applicant?
I started working at Saltwater around, I think it was October. So I've done both from around October to now.
Do you think they're fit and proper persons to hold an alcoholic beverage license?
Yes.
Questions?
you've worked around them since October?
Yes, yes.
And you've seen them at work in the restaurant, and that's how you reach your opinion, that's how you develop your opinion, that they should be allowed to have a liquor license?
Yes, I do believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we need a third one.
Jennifer, 1003 Coachford Court, Lutherville, Maryland. Jonathan worked for me for, I would say, at least past 5 to 6 years, on and off. And my husband is a good friend of Mr. Liu since he worked at one of our Sushi Q locations in Howard County back in the days. He's a very hardworking guy. I believe he had his own restaurant with his wife in Sykesville, somewhere near Planet Fitness. And again, running a business is not that hard. He failed. He sold it to someone else, and he came back to work for my husband again. And my husband said, I understand that you have a family. We'll give you a percentage. And they started together from 2 years ago again. And Tao actually just had a baby, and he's the hardest working man that I've ever seen. He wakes up 7 o'clock in the morning, and he's answering my phone call until 11:30 at night. And when he hires a staff, he has to deal with their dramas, schedules. I can't make it, and oh, you're underage. I can't give you this alcohol to give it to these tables. He's very strict on it. He's on himself to provide everything that he can possibly do for our businesses.
And you believe he's a fit and proper person to have the...
Perfect, yes.
I just want to get that on the record.
Yes, thank you.
No further questions?
I would just urge the board to approve these two applicants to be licensees in substitution for Jean Lee.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the testimony for the transfer. Any further discussion or comments?
Yeah. My only concern is hoping that Mr. Liu understands the gravity of being a licensee. Sure, that'll come with time, and I'm glad you're getting him certified and getting him some information on our information here on our
Yes.
book. And that's all I have.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think council has done a very thorough job in presenting the case. It's a tad difficult for me to grapple with some of the nuances, but you've cleared that up, thank you. And I think we have all the information we need in the file to go ahead and to approve this transfer. I always look to council's representations and to the character witnesses in situations like this, and I feel that Ms. Jennifer has convincingly told this board that these two gentlemen are not only qualified to hold a liquor license in Carroll County, and I accept her character witness testimony, not necessarily to the exclusion of the others, but it carried a lot of weight with me because she knows them in a business sense and in a personal sense. And she also has told us how hardworking they are, which is part of being a successful licensee. And I feel that these two gentlemen will perform the duties that Mr. Mister explains to you are required of a licensee in Carroll County. I think that you will both pay attention, especially you, sir, because seems to be you're more involved with the front of the house. You'll pay attention to the problems that can arise that can bring you in front of us in the future, and I think that you'll do your utmost to prevent that. The Katana, these
Sushi Q.
Sushi Q restaurants, I think are well run. I've seen, from what I've seen, and I've been in several, and I accept the representations of the owner about how it will go forward in the future, and I believe that you will follow that example. Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Do, please.
In case 6567, which is an application to change licensee to these two gentlemen, I move that we approve the application as it stands.
I second that motion.
Motion been properly made and seconded that we approve an application to change the license from Jani to Ming Lu and Tay Mu for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Ming Lu and Tay Mu for the use of Q168 LLC, trading as Sushi Q5, 250 Ingle Road, Suite A1, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Congratulations. Let's move to the next one.
All right, case 6568, an application to change the licensee from Jan Lee Z to Tao Mu for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Tao Mu for the use of Q1688 LLC, trading as Sushi Q8, 1311 London Town Boulevard, Suite 220, Eldersburg, Maryland, 21784 in Election District 5. In the file of this matter, we have the following documents. Notice of public hearing, June 27th, 2025. Notice of public hearing, June 20th, 2025. A June 5th, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Tao Mu. A May 29th, 2025 letter from David F. Mister to Board of License Commissioners. And then there's an application, and the application includes character references, naturalization certificate, criminal background information, driving record, resignation letter, articles of organization, operating agreement, ownership information, and training certificate. I would ask that the file be entered into evidence.
We'll accept that into evidence. Since everybody has been sworn in, do we need to swear them in again for this case? Please stand, raise your right
Well,
hand.
since we're accepting the testimony from the previous case, I don't think we need to.
Okay. Mr. Mister?
For the record, Mr. Chairman, David F. Mister and Mr. Winter and Bartlett LLC representing the applicants. Preliminarily, I would ask the board to accept the amended application that has been filed with the board but not originally advertised, and that is adding Tao Mu, also known as Jonathan Mu, as an additional applicant along with Ming Lu for purposes of this hearing.
Let's just proceed.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would request that the board accept by adoption the testimony under oath from each of the applicants and the principal owner, Jennifer Key, as well as the character witnesses that testified in the first hearing, I should say, for Q168 LLC.
I will accept that.
Can I also ask counsel to, just on the record, to amend the spelling of applicant B?
Yes, and I apologize that there was apparently a typo in that regard. It's Ming Lu, M-I-N-G, and then last name L-U.
L-U, okay, thank you. And the applicants have the same financial interests as we heard in the last hearing?
That is correct.
And this is a different LLC than the LLC that's used for the Q5
It's
restaurant?
deceptively similar. That was Q168. This is Q168 1688 LLC.
Okay, so just make sure we have not another typo, I guess, to confuse me. Where's the resignation letter?
That's the letter. There's the letter in the file.
Okay. Do our rules require that he is present?
That's what I just pointed out to you.
The rules require he's present under circumstances.
You know, we could have a ruling that they were excusing him.
Yes.
Was the resignation of Mr. Z, was that sudden and surprising? Because he was on 3 restaurants.
Correct. It was very surprising, and I believe that he had his own plans planned and didn't let any of us notified. It was sudden. No one fired anyone. He decided to move on with out of his own.
Okay, thank you. And neither licensee has had any violation of gambling laws or alcohol driving offenses.
No criminal record whatsoever.
Okay.
Hell, it's gonna be the same. Commissioners, do you have any further questions?
No.
Perhaps to get on the record, according to our local laws, the resigning licensee is required to be here unless under certain unusual circumstances, which I think this probably falls into. Perhaps we need a motion to accept the letter of resignation as presented with the application in lieu of his presence.
I so move. I move that the board accepts the letter of resignation of the current licensee on all 3 cases that are before us today in lieu of in-person testimony.
Second that motion.
Motion been properly made and seconded. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. So we can carry on with the discussion of the acceptance of case 6568. Further questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would just incorporate my prior comments in this case as well.
I agree with Commissioner Barnhart, and I'd be ready to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Case 6568, an application to change the licensee from Jianlei Zi to Tao Mu and Ming Lu. I move that we approve that application.
Seconded.
Motion's been properly made and seconded. This board approve the application under case 6568 for a change of licensee from Jingli to Ming Lu and Tao Mu for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Ming Lu and Tao Mu for the use of Q1688 LLC, trading as Sushi Q8, located at 1311 London Town Boulevard, Suite 220, Eldersburg, Maryland. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Mr. Dixon, case 6569, please.
All right, case 6569, an application to change the licensee from Jianlei Zi to Tao Mu for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Tao Mu for the use of Westlight LLC, trading as Saltwater, 6212 Ridge Road, Mount Airy, Maryland, 21771 in Election District 13. In the file of this matter, we have the following documents. Notice of public hearing, June 27th, 2025. Notice of public hearing, June 20th, 2025. June 5th, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Tao Mu. Then we have a May 29th, 2025 letter from David F. Mister to Board of License Commissioners. Then we have an application, and the application includes character references, naturalization certificate, criminal background information, MVA records, resignation letter, operating agreement, articles of organization, training certificate, and stock information. I would ask that the file be entered into evidence.
We'll accept that into evidence. Everyone has been sworn prior cases, so Mister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, David F. Mister, Mr. Winter and Bartlett LLC representing the applicants. Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman, I would request that the board accept the amended application that has been filed but not originally advertised, which included Ming Liu as an additional applicant to replace Zhan Li Zi, along with Tao Mu.
I would accept the,
We'll accept the amended application.
Thank you.
and, Mr. Chairman, as far as comments from the commission here, I would incorporate by reference the comments I made in previous case 6567 and 6568, as well as the motions, any motions that were made and passed in those two cases, incorporate them into my comments for case 6569.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, I should formally move that the board adopt the previous sworn testimony of the applicants as well as the character witnesses that was presented in the application for Q168 LLC, trading as Q5.
We will accept that information and testimony.
I will also incorporate all my former comments of the other two cases.
With that said, is there a motion to approve case 6569?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that in case 6569, that the application presented to us for the transfer of licensee to these two gentlemen be approved.
I second that application.
Motion's been
Motion, pardon.
properly made and seconded that according to case 6569, an application to change the license from Zhan Li to Ming Liu and Tao Mu for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Ming Liu and Tao Mu for the use of Westlight LLC, trading as Saltwater, located at 6212 Ridge Road in Mount Airy, Maryland, in Election District 13. Further discussion on the motion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, all three applications have been approved, and we wish you good luck.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Appreciate the board's consideration of this rather unique way that this was handled, and their tolerance in that regard.
Thank you all very much. Is there anything else to be brought before this board?
Keith has something.
Mister, I'd like to ask you a question before you leave, please.
Be my pleasure, Mr. Chairman. Do you want me to approach, or?
Would you please?
Sure.
Yes. Do you have anything you need to bring before the board?
Not that I can think of. Do I? Do I?
Not that I can.
With that,
The way she said that.
Commissioners, any comments, final comments, questions?
Commissioner Mulvaney brought up something to discuss earlier today, or are we going to do that another time?
I was going to suggest we put it on the agenda, business agenda for next month to discuss the
Yep.
sales.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Dixon, any final?
No, sir.
Ms. Joe? With that said, this meeting is adjourned until next month on August the 13th in this room at 10 o'clock.